Somebody in the comments last week said it plain. There are no mountains in Florida, so stop pretending. And you were right. Florida does not have mountains. The highest natural point in the entire state is a spot called Britton Hill, up in the panhandle near a little place named Lakewood, and it tops out at 345 feet above sea level. 345 feet. It is the lowest state high point in the whole country, lower than a single tall building in Miami. There is a small stone monument up there, a picnic table, and a walking trail that gains about 9 feet of elevation on a good day. People drive across 3 states to stand on it, take a photo, and drive home. So when the title of this video promised dirt cheap mountain cabins in Florida, you had every reason to roll your eyes. Fair enough? But here's the thing, because it turns out to be stranger and better than the title lets on. Florida has high country. Not mountains, but high country, and almost nobody is looking at it. And the land up there is some of the cheapest land with a view anywhere in the state. Every week we find the strangest properties in America. The ones at the edge of the map, the ones nobody knows are for sale, and we show you exactly how to get them. If that's the kind of dream you've been quietly carrying around, hit subscribe. Now, let me take you to the spine of it. Down the middle of the Florida peninsula runs a long, thin ridge of sand hills. It begins up near the town of Claremont and stretches south for about 150 miles, almost all the way to the shore of Lake Okeechobee. It is called the Lake Wales Ridge. 2 million years ago, when the seas stood higher, this ridge was a chain of islands, the only dry ground for miles while the rest of the peninsula sat underwater. The ocean pulled back, but the sand stayed, bone white and piled high, and it has been dry ground ever since. From the air, it shows up as a pale streak of hills cutting through all that green, and the sand is so bright that astronauts can pick it out from space. At the northern end of the ridge sits the closest thing Florida has to a real peak. Its name is Sugarloaf Mountain. It stands 312 feet above the sea near the town of Claremont, and it is the highest point on the entire Florida peninsula. More than that, it is the most prominent hill in the whole state, which means it rises higher above the land around it than anything else in Florida, about 245 feet straight up from the surface of a lake at its foot. Cyclists come from all over just to grind up its one truly punishing road. From near the top on a clear day, the towers of Orlando shimmer more than 20 miles away, floating over the flatness. It is enough to make you forget for a moment where you actually are. Keep going south, and the ridge offers up more of these odd little summits. There is Iron Mountain over in Lake Wales, 295 feet, crowned by a stone bell tower, and a garden a Dutch immigrant built almost 100 years ago as a gift to the country that took him in. There is Sand Mountain down inside the Ocala Forest. None of these are the Rocky Mountains, but they are hills, real ones, with long views, in a state everybody swears is flat as a kitchen table. Now here is where all of this turns into something you can actually buy. For most of the last century, the ridge was citrus country. That high, sandy, well-drained ground turned out to be perfect for orange groves, and quiet fortunes were made up here, grove by grove. Then came a run of brutal freezes in the 1980s that killed the trees and broke the growers, and the citrus industry drifted south. What it left behind, especially at the southern end of the ridge in a place called Highlands County, is a great deal of high, dry, rolling land that nobody quite knows what to do with anymore. And that is exactly the kind of overlooked ground where the prices never caught up. Let me give you real numbers Spoken plainly. Down around the towns of Sebring, Avon Park, and Lake Placid, all of them sitting right on the southern ridge, you can find building lots for almost nothing. As of this recording, the cheaper listings across Highlands County carry a median asking price close to $19,000. Around Sebring itself, the cheapest cluster of lots averages near $10,000. There are quarter-acre lots on the market for $5,000, and a partial acre near a lake asking $7,800. This is not swamp. A lot of it is described exactly the way you would hope, high and dry on a paved road with power already at the street. Now I have to be straight with you, because this channel does not run on bait. If what you want is a finished log cabin, keys in your hand, a porch, and a wood stove and nothing left to build, that is not the dirt cheap part. A move-in-ready cabin on a few acres up in the Florida Panhandle runs closer to $300,000. And around Claremont, the ridgetop homes have gotten truly expensive because the developers have figured Sugarloaf out and are carving its flanks into subdivisions as we speak. So the dirt cheap dream up here is not the cabin. It is the ridge underneath it. It is buying a piece of the highest, driest, most improbable ground in the whole state for about the price of a used truck, and then putting the cabin on it with your own two hands. So, how do you actually find these lots before they are gone? There is one portal I would send you to first, and I will drop the exact link in the pinned comment below. It lets you filter for cabins and for cheap land, county by county, right across Florida. It covers the Panhandle up by Britton Hill near the Alabama line, and it covers Highlands County down south where the cheap ridge land is. The single most useful thing you can do, and it takes about 2 minutes, is make a free account, set your filters the way you want them, and then save that search. Once it is saved, go into the alert settings and switch yourself from the weekly summary over to instant. That one little toggle is the entire game. These ridge lots are cheap enough that the good ones sell in a matter of days, sometimes to people who never even lay eyes on them in person, and a weekly email will always reach you a beat too late. Instant means you hear about it the morning it lists, not the week after it already sold. Now, here is the move that almost nobody makes, and it is the reason a sold sign is not the end of the story. Say you find the perfect ridge parcel, the one with the long view and the old oak trees, and it already sold last spring. Most people sigh and give up. Do not give up. In Florida, the moment a property changes hands, the new owner's name lands on the public county tax record, and anybody can look it up for free. For the Southern Ridge, that record lives at the Highlands County Property Appraiser, and I will link it in the pinned comment too. You enter the address, and up comes the owner's name and their mailing address, which is very often a house in another town entirely, because so many of these lots are bought just to sit on. Then you do the one thing nobody else thinks to do. You write that owner a short, plain, respectful letter. You tell them you love their piece of the ridge and that if they ever think about selling, you would like to be the very first call. Half the time you hear nothing back, but every so often you reach somebody in the exact month they had started to wonder whether that faraway lot was really worth the taxes. And just like that, you have bought land that was never even listed. Sold does not mean gone. It only means the trail went quiet, and now you know how to follow it. So that is the real map. The Panhandle up by Britton Hill, where the true high point of the state hides behind a picnic table. The long white spine of the Lake Wales Ridge, ancient islands turned into hills. Sugarloaf standing over Claremont with the Orlando skyline floating in the distance. And down south, the cheap, forgotten high and dry ground around Sebring and Lake Placid, waiting for somebody with a little vision and a folding lawn chair. Here is what I keep turning over in my own head, and I want to hear your answer down in the comments. If you had $10,000 and one free weekend, and you could go stand on any single piece of that ridge and call it yours, which pocket would you choose? Would you take the northern peak near Sugarloaf and dare the developers to catch you first? Would you take a bare hilltop over a lake in Highlands County and build something small and stubborn out of your own sweat? And when you finally closed your eyes on that porch, 300 feet up, listening to Florida do its best impression of a mountain, what would you want to be looking at out there? Tell me. I read every one of these.